Donald Trump will most likely be certified to the ballot with the words "objection pending" next to his name. Then, as I said earlier, our board will hear that objection on January 30th, and then it will make its ruling, and it will.
Matt Dietrich, Illinois State Board of Elections, when we chatted with him a couple of weeks ago about the objection against former President Donald Trump. Today's January 30th. The Illinois State Board of Elections is going to be taking up some of these particular questions of Donald Trump's ability to be on the March 19th ballot. So last week, you had the hearing officers hear from objectors against Trump saying he incited an insurrection. You had other objectors against Biden saying that he didn't fill out his forms properly and that he's kept the border open and it's harming the country. So that happened last week. And then over the weekend, the hearing officers and other election officials made the recommendations that Biden be kept on the ballot, but Trump be decertified from the ballot. So if you follow me on Twitter, you can see that, and I think it's important for us to kind of take a look at where we're at in this ongoing saga with the Illinois State Board of Elections. So if you've seen the account and you follow me regularly on X, be sure to check that out, because you do get updates throughout the day on what's going on. But clearly, the hearing officer in this particular case saying that in the event the board decides not to follow the hearing officer's recommendations to grant a candidate's motion to dismiss, the hearing officer recommends that the board find the evidence presented at the hearing January 26th, that was Friday, proves by a preponderance of evidence that President Trump engaged in insurrection within the meaning of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment and should have his name removed from the March 2024 primary ballot. So that is what was said to the State Board of Elections, which they're going to take up today. And that's going to be happening 9:30. And we'll review what the outcome is there in that particular case. But you had other objections as well. Those objections being filed by other Illinois voters against Joe Biden appearing on the March 19th ballot. And each instance, you had the hearing officer and the general counsel for the State Board of Elections essentially say that Biden should be kept on the ballot. But what does all this mean? You've got Matt Dietrich, who I talked with earlier this month about the prospects here. And moving forward, what are we going to see and as far as the process, right? Because they heard the objections on Friday. Then today, they're going to come in and they're actually going to vote on this. It's a bipartisan board, the Illinois State Board of Elections, meaning it's got equal number Democrats, equal number Republicans, so it takes a majority vote to actually keep somebody off of the ballots. But does that even mean anything? Because you have the court system that could get involved in all of this. Here's Matt Dietrich from last week, or from earlier this month.
They can vote to sustain the objection, in which case the candidate would not be certified to the ballot. They can vote to overrule the objection, in which case the candidate would be certified to the ballot. Sometimes they can deadlock at 4-4. If that happens, then it's considered that no action has been taken on the objection, and the objection effectively dies, and the candidate would be certified to the ballot. Now, our board can make a motion on any number of things, so it's not necessarily that cut and dry that it would be a vote to sustain, a vote to overrule. A number of things could happen, regardless of what happens on January 30th. Whichever side disagrees with our board's ruling has the right to then seek judicial review. In other words, to take the case to court and go before a judge and try to overturn our board's decision. And that can wind its way all the way up to the Illinois Supreme Court if necessary. So it's possible that that's what could happen with this case.
So again, today, we'll see the outcome of that and whether or not we're actually going to have A vote to, keep him off the ballot and people appeal that to the courts, or a vote to keep him on the ballot and the objectors taking it to the courts. So clearly there's going to be some tricky things happening here in the days ahead when it comes to ballot access for presidential candidates. And again, just to recap, the elections officials recommending that Biden be kept on the ballot, but they're recommending that Trump be kept off the ballot. More from Matt Dietrich from earlier this month.
Now, because there is this objection pending before Donald Trump and potentially any other objections to presidential candidates that may be filed before next Thursday, Donald Trump will most likely be certified to the ballot with the words objection pending next to his name.
So you might see his name on the ballot, but it could have objection pending. And of course, depending on what happens with the court system in Illinois, you have that could possibly play out in the months ahead. But you also have the U.S. Supreme Court that is coming back from break to deal with this question out of other states and whether or not states can keep a presidential candidate off the ballot claiming insurrection in the 14th Amendment when that candidate hasn't actually been convicted of insurrection, let alone charged with insurrection. So there's going to be a lot of interesting things popping off here. And clearly here in Illinois, what it's going to play out to be, are voters going to be able to go to the polls and vote for Donald Trump? Or if they do, will their vote be nullified because the elections board may determine, he's not on the ballot, but then you got the U.S. Supreme Court. It's incredible times we're living in, no doubt. So I appreciate you guys being here for part of it. So it is Bishop on Air. You can follow along anywhere. Just search Bishop on Air. Again, bishoponair.com on X, on Facebook, on YouTube. Search Bishop on Air, and we can connect that way. All right, stay tuned. Always live here each and every weekday morning. Appreciate you guys being here so bright and early and so consistently. Thumbs up.